When our daughter Annie, little technical glitch here. When our daughter Annie was 4 years old, she went through a phase where she referred to herself as Annie the Caitlin. To this day, Stan and I don't really know what motivated her to insert the between her first and middle names. And when I asked her, she remembers it, but doesn't know what provoked it at the time. She's now 28, just for context. So this memory from 25 years ago surfaced this past Thursday evening while I was listening to FutureChurch's 2025 Mary Magdalene presentation with Dr. Mary Colo, a presentation sister and scripture scholar from Australia. Dr. Colo introduced Mary the Magdalene, and citing examples from all the Gospels, explained that in the original Greek, Mary is always referred to as the Magdalene. I'll admit it, I don't speak Greek. Apparently, the as an article appears to have been lost in translation. Anyone curious can read or can hear or find the full recording of Dr. Colo's presentation at futurechurch.org under the resources tab. Dr. Colo went on to explain that in Aramaic, the language that Jesus spoke, Magdalene translates as tower. So we could speculate that Mary was very tall, the towering one, or that tower reflected a facet of her outstanding nature. Elizabeth Schrader, who many of us here in Drexel Hill remember from the pre-pandemic days when she came and spoke to us about her research into Mary Magdalene. She and Joan Taylor co-authored an article on Mary Magdalene where they conclude Mary could well have acquired the title Magdalene, meaning Tower of Faith, or Mary the Magnificent. And they go on to say several ancient authors understood Mary's nickname to be rooted in her character rather than the town that she came from. So from the 4 gospel writers whose stories made the cut into the New Testament, we learn that Mary the Magdalene was the first to see and proclaim Jesus as risen Christ. She, who holds the title apostle to the apostles, was clearly recognized as a leader as well as a spiritual companion of Jesus. The bottom line message Mary the Magdalene leaves us with is that Jesus remains present to all of us, present among us, certainly present among us here, certainly present among the early leaders, to the men and women who began this community 18 years ago. Certainly always present. And speaking of presence, this week, as I put today's liturgy together, our beloved Jim Power was very present among us, certainly very present to me. To me, Jim embraced and embodied Mary the Magdalene's message that we are called to become fully human. Jim's insightful homily sharing was my initial exposure to how deeply grounded Jim was in the concept of kinship. As his brother Clark wrote in the announcement that came out from Play Like a Champion, Jim knew from the time he was a child himself that true love is rooted in kinship, that giving and receiving of love are two parts of the whole. Life-changing is the expression Jim used to describe the relationships he formed with leaders of the North Lawndale Athletic and Recreation Association as part of the North Lawndale Kinship Initiative, a Chicago-based community development partnership. To quote Jim's obituary, "To know Jim was to feel loved." He had a rare gift for making people feel seen, heard, and valued. After his diagnosis, he chose not to fear death, but to embrace life and focus on loving the people who were close to him. I can think of no better legacy Jim leaves us than to do that. For us to focus on loving the people who are close to us. Jim reconnected with childhood friends, shared daily phone calls and texts, and ended every conversation with, "I love you." He found joy in life's simplest pleasures: hummingbirds, sunrises, puzzles, grocery runs, birthdays, and his expansive Christmas music collection. We continue to hold Peggy, his wife of 47 years, their 5 children, 14 grandchildren, and siblings Clark, Ann, Tom, your spouses, families, and all who love Jim in a circle of light and love. I think you'll agree, we are richer for having known Jim. And he is with us. It occurs to me that Mary's invitation to come and see is as relevant today as it was in first century Palestine. Those were scary times, just as these days we are navigating are challenging. So let's take a deep breath. And I'll leave you with 2 reflection questions. As we joyfully celebrate the 18th anniversary of this community named for Mary Magdalene, think about how you found your way to an inclusive Eucharistic community. Why do you stay? And the second question, how, in the face of escalating violence and weather-related disasters, how do we stay present to ourselves and our world in its tumult and its tenderness?